Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday night, March the 12th, 2022. I am your host, Jim Crenity, and welcome to the Sports Note on YouTube. Earlier today, you had seen me post a breaking news about the Cleveland Browns acquiring Amari Cooper from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, granted, that cannot officially occur until Wednesday when the official NFL season opens with trades and free agency. But this was also just another car in the runaway train that is the NFL's free agency and trade period right before that league year starts, which every year is 30 days after the Super Bowl. The catalyst that got all of this going was the fact that the Denver Broncos pulled off a monumental trade with the Seattle Seahawks to land Russell Wilson to be their next franchise quarterback. Although Wilson is 33 years old, this is starting to smell eerily similar to when they landed Peyton Manning, all those 6, 7, 8 years ago. And all that John Elway ended up doing by landing Manning was getting to two Super Bowls in 3 years, winning one of them. Russell Wilson still has a few years left on his existing contract that is actually going to owe him $24 million this year and $27 million next year. What essentially the terms of the trade are, and again, none of this can become official until Wednesday. Seattle sent Wilson and a fifth round pick to the Broncos for two first round picks, including the ninth overall pick this year, as a matter of fact, next month, two second rounders, a fifth, quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris. Now, there's no truth that Drew Lock is expected to be the quarterback of the future now for the Seattle Seahawks. It's just not going to happen. What is more than likely going to happen, and you'll probably see this play out next month, and then I'm going to let you a little bit behind the curtain when the Wise Guys Sports Show and the Big Recon on Sports do our round one mock 1 week from tonight on the 19th. I actually have the NFC West for the teams that I'm going to be picking. I'm also going to be selecting for the AFC South. The Seahawks right now have got to be the front runners to target Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh with that ninth overall pick. The only team in front of them right now that could even be thinking about a quarterback would be the Carolina Panthers, sitting at 6. And reports coming out today that the Panthers are going to heavily target Deshaun Watson in a trade with the Houston Texans now that his legal troubles have been quote unquote resolved. Although even though no criminal charges are going to be filed, let's also be honest, 22 women cannot be lying. And I am so glad now that the Browns made the trade for Amari Cooper. Because this way now, even if Jarvis Landry and Cooper both restructure their contracts, it's probably going to put the Browns out of the running to be able to ship Baker Mayfield off, and we really don't want that circus around, considering we actually had that with Odell Beckham the last couple of years, and then there was also that stigma hanging over Kareem Hunt his first year after the Browns signed him with his off-field troubles. But getting back to Russell Wilson, this is now going to put Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson all in the same division. And with the way that the NFL playoffs are set up, you're not going to get three teams in from one division, no matter how the tiebreakers shake out, which means two of those quarterbacks are not going to go to the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. And then you also add in Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, potentially Ryan Tannehill into that equation, and now this is a make or break for Baker Mayfield. You also throw Joe Burrow into the class that I mentioned a couple of moments ago. The AFC is absolutely loaded with quarterbacks, and especially now with Carson Wentz getting shipped out, now going to the Commanders from the Colts. Now they're going to be looking for a quarterback. You hope that Trevor Lawrence works out in Jacksonville so they can get some stability. But now you also look at the NFC, and really you've only got Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, who are both on the back end of their careers and only have a couple of years left each. And quite honestly, you got Dak Prescott, and the jury is still out on Kyler Murray. So this is something where you could potentially see the AFC go on some sort of run of Super Bowl wins, a la when the NFC rattled off 12, 13, 14 back in the 80s and early 90s. This is and Seattle also has their cap number skyrocket from 11.2 to 49.8 for this year. Even with Wilson's massive deal, the Broncos still have $26 million of cap space. And you're also going to pair Russell Wilson with Jerry Jeudy, and assuming now that with that, still with that $26 million, that they can actually free up some of that to re-sign Melvin Gordon, who's an unrestricted free agent, and they definitely don't want to let him go. It's kind of like what just happened here in Cleveland, is that the second that they heard that the Amari Cooper trade went down, Jarvis Landry, whose name was immediately on the rumor mill of getting cut to be able to save money, said that he'd be more than happy to restructure his deal. Well, Melvin Gordon is going to be licking his chops to be able to have Russell Wilson as his quarterback, as opposed to some of the guys that he's had the last couple of years, in Mile High, which means there's definitely got to be some sort of home team discount and potential restructuring there. He's still going to get paid, but with the fact now now that the Broncos become possibly, depending on what they do with free agency trades in the draft, on defense, Kansas City's defense is very shaky. We've seen that in the playoffs the last couple of years, especially last year, especially what Cincinnati did to them in the second half of the AFC title game. With what Denver could potentially do, could Denver possibly jump from worst to first in that division? And that's not really a detriment to Denver. They were the odd team out in the success that the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs all had, and the Broncos with a decent quarterback could have been in that playoff mix as well. This is definitely something where a lot of dominoes are going to start falling now. We saw that Rodgers went back to the Packers again, signed a pretty decent extension to stay. We've now got the Cooper trade. Who knows where Deshaun Watson's going to end up? But this is now a lot of fun with just right before the season starts. But the other aspect, and I kind of talked about it at the very end of the blog, that when the Broncos and Seahawks were aligned in the AFC West originally, the Broncos were 32-18 against the Seahawks, essentially lifetime, when they were division rivals, since Seattle went to the NFC in 2002 when the last of the real expansion kind of formulated. The Broncos are 3-2. Could we potentially add one more win to that deal? Let's actually see how this year shakes out. And you could potentially make that 4-2, 4 wins and 2 losses, even though I'm not even sure they're on each other's schedules this year. But kudos to John Elway for swinging this again, especially after, just a few years removed of the Peyton Manning deal. Remember, Peyton Manning lost his first attempt when Denver got to the Super Bowl, and he lost to a kid named Russell Wilson. Then Wilson actually goes out and wins a Super Bowl a year or two later, and could have actually had 2 had Pete Carroll actually remembered that he had Marshawn Lynch in the backfield at the 1-yard line with under a minute to go in the Super Bowl. So instead of running him, he decides to throw in the 1-yard line. Ball gets deflected, and the Patriots win yet another Super Bowl, and everybody hates football. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We've got another episode probably coming tomorrow, and you could actually see me start doing some more breaking news as things progress. I did actually go ahead and update the graphics for the teaser thumbnails for these videos to make them a little easier for you guys to read, and also on the blog, if you now click on the the team logo at the on the header of the blog, it will actually take you directly to this video as opposed to actually having the video embedded at the bottom and just making more space. And that'll actually be for really all videos that I posted since the channel went live on January 1, and that should be done hopefully sometime tonight. But again, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Like and subscribe, and we will see you guys 1 week from tonight for the Big Rican Round 1 mock. And I also will see you guys tomorrow night with another edition of the Sports Note. Take care.